an 11 by 8.5 document. We're going to drag and drop this particular little template piece, all right? And I'm just going to scale it down so it's roughly 8.5 by 11, okay? You're going to use this to create your style tile. So your style tile is going to help you define everything that's going to go on visually. What colors are you going to use? What fonts are you going to use? If you have buttons, what are the buttons going to look like? All right, if you have sliders, what are the sliders going to look like? What are your icons going to look like? Okay? A couple of resources here. All right? So let's say I was going to do YouTube. All right? On the site, if you scroll down to the bottom, it explains your setup, explains what you need. Then it has a link to Icon Monster and a link to Brands of the World. So Brands of the World is this really cool website that has, you guessed it, logos for Brands of the World. All right? So if I type in YouTube, you gotta spell it right would be good. Other than that, I'm fantastic. All right? I can click on it, and I can actually download an EPS file, an Illustrator file. All right? So I'm going to download that. Now, save all your resources because you're going to need them later, and we'll talk about how to bring them into XD. Right now, we're just dealing in Illustrator. So I've got my EPS that I'm going to bring in as my logo. All right? And I don't care if your style tile has a background color. Sometimes it's nice if it does. If it doesn't matter. It's the information, okay? So there's my logo and what my app's going to be. All right? So the next step is thinking about colors. So you can set up the boxes simply in Illustrator, okay? And if you know you're only going to use 3 colors, all right, you can grab 3 boxes. So I'm going to just give my box a frame so I can actually see it. Hold my Option key and just drag a few boxes, all right? You can decide on the colors that you want to use. Now, the demonstration was using some of the imagery that would go along with it. So in YouTube, I might pull up some of the main screen images I might use and pull colors from there. Or I'm just going to use red and white, whatever, all right? So you have your colors here that you're going to use, however many colors you feel are going to be in your piece, all right? Your images. So I'm going to go in and let's say, for now, grab the weekend, all right? And what's nice about prototyping is you don't have to necessarily get your high resolution images, all right? It's not really what you're worried about. So I might drag this one down here. I might drag this one down here. And then I might drag, I'm trying to get all square version ones, all they're roughly the same size, okay? And I grab that. Now, I can take these, and I can bring them into Illustrator, and these are images that I'm going to use, or types of images that I would be using. It should be kind of a representation of the pieces. Now, if it's a food app, there's going to be food images, okay? Now, I missed one. Where'd one go? Is he hiding? Weird. All right. I can take my box, remember? And I can Command 7 just to make a clipping mask. All right. And I can have my images here. So the same thing. I'm just going to take this. Release my clipping mask. So I have my little box. Get my box. Okay. So I've got my images. All right. 3 or 4 of those. Icons. All right. What are your icons going to look like? Are they going to be filled? Are they going to be lines? Are they going to be both? Will there be alternates? What are they going to look like? All right. So another really cool site, all right, is right down here on your style tile sheet, Icon Monster. Icon Monster is basically a website that you can download icons from. All right. So let's say I went to YouTube. Let's see what they have for YouTube. Okay. So I have all the little icons that would be their logos. But instead, maybe I want to use a play button. Okay. And let's say I like this play button. So I click on this. You'll notice the format. All right. You want to stick with probably SVG or PNG because you're going to take this later and bring it into your actual piece in XD. And you can't natively you can import an AI file, but it gets a little tricky. When it's a PNG or an SVG, you can just drag it right from your screen right onto XD. And it really simplifies the workflow. All right. So I'll just pick SVG. I agree to the license, and I download. All right. And then you'll get, as soon as it downs up, I'll get my little SVG here with my icon right up there. All right. So this, again, I can open up in Illustrator. There he is. All right. And I can paste that in. and I can decide, maybe there'll be another colored version of it. All right. But that's where you're going to kind of look for your icons. It's so much easier. You do not have to create your own icons. Right? There's no point. You might as well use icons that are already created. Why create a play button when there's already play buttons to be used? All right. So you got to kind of decide what the styles are going to be of your buttons. All right, or your icons, excuse me. So are they going to be simple? Pick the simple ones. Are they going to be more complex? Pick the more complex ones. Fonts, okay? So if you look at how this is set up, you're going to show an example of what a header looks like, what a subheader looks like, and what your body copy looks like. You may not have sliders. You don't have to include a slider if you don't have one. Right? If you have buttons, what will the buttons look like? All right. Are they going to have, this one has a gradient in it because it kind of makes it look nice. Maybe yours don't. Okay. When it comes to mobile applications, we don't have to worry about actions, meaning when you click on it, because you don't see something happen on a website. Sometimes when you click on something, it actually changes, right? Or a hover. You've seen that, I'm sure, plenty of times. When you hover over something on a website, it changes. You don't do that in mobile apps. It just simply clicks on it. You don't really see an action to it, okay? So they show the secondary button here. You can show secondary buttons depending on what you want it to look like. Maybe your buttons change based on the background of your page. All right, so maybe I'm on the screen where it has all the videos to choose from, and I click on one specific video, and all of a sudden I'm on the weekends page, and now I've got a red background, or a black background, or a green background, and my button needs to change. Okay? So all the elements you're going to need for your style tile are right here. Your colors, your textures, your icons, text, button sliders, and then adjectives. The last part is just a few adjectives that describe your application. Modern, clean, simple, earthy, stuff like that, okay? Any questions about style tiles? This will be done in Illustrator. We'll make life easy, so have your style tile. And then you can pull everything from Illustrator into XD later on. Questions? All right, these two things are due today. Let's get them going.